Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Redefining High Performance podcast. I'm excited to share an insight today with you that's going to be wrapped in a story that I have loved. Ever since I heard the story, and it was years ago, I wrote about it in my book, Partnership is the New Leadership, but I think there's some really good application to our conversation around high performance. So back in the 1940s, there was this little boutique financial services company that was just getting started. And they hired a man named Louis Engel, who was a newspaper writer. He was a copywriter. And they hired him to write ads for their company. Now, go back with me to the 1940s. And interestingly, at the time, nobody understood the stock market except for stockbrokers. That was like if you had to go to them because they had proprietary knowledge, the secret sauce. And because of that, all of the competitive ads in that space were just straightforward pitches. They were like 25 words. They were just simple, if you want to invest in the stock market, come to us. And Louis Engel had an idea. He came to his partners and he said, look, I want to write an ad, but I want to teach people about the stock market. And they said, why would we do that? And he said, well, I think that we can serve our clients better. I think we can add value. And if we do, they're going to invest in us. I think that if we invest in them, they're going to want to invest in us, right? Ultimately, I believe that value precedes influence. If you want to be influential, you need to add value first. And that's kind of what Louis Engel's thought process was. So they said, okay, write it up. Give us an idea of what you're talking about. So he wrote up this ad. He brought it to his partners. They looked at it and they go, this is good. Is it too good? And he goes, no, I think people will love it. Let's try it. Let's test it, right? So they tested it for a couple of days. Over the next couple of days, they received 500 leads very quickly. Now, this is not our day and age. This is not like a click on the link on your iPhone. This was the 1940s. This was cut it out of the newspaper, fill it out with pen and paper, put a stamp, put an envelope, put a stamp on it. I mean, this took some actual work, right? So they decided to continue to run that ad. And over the next 5 years, it generated over 3 million leads. That ad was actually 1,100 words. It was titled, What People Ought to Know About the Stock and Bond Business. It was like an ebook. It was chock full of unbelievable information, information people had never read before. And the scarcity mindset was that they would give away their secrets, that they would give away the secret sauce, I don't know if you've ever felt like that before. Have you? Like you have to keep your proprietary information close to the chest because if you gave it away, then why would anybody come to you? But Louis Engel understood that if you invest in people, people are going to invest in you. So they ran that ad, 3 million leads. It turned that little boutique financial services company into the company you and I know today as Merrill Lynch. In fact, Louis Engel is credited for changing the whole financial industry with that ad. It was revolutionary. I think there's something he did that most people don't do. From a marketing standpoint, what most people do is they operate out of comparison. So it would have been easy for him to look at all the competitive ads and say, okay, this is what they're doing for marketing. This is how I'm going to do it just a little bit better, right? But it's basically the same thing. It's just different names, different fonts, right? Like little tweaks. I think sometimes as human beings, we operate in the same way. It doesn't have to be in marketing, but we operate from comparison, right? We look at it and we say, okay, this is what they're doing. And so I just need to do that, try and do that a little bit better. That's not what high performance is about. If you think that just looking at what everybody else is doing, comparing and trying to do it just a little bit better is going to revolutionize anything, is going to do anything huge, here's the takeaway from today. Impact over comparison, okay? That's what it's going to be. Impact over comparison. Instead of approaching your life and operating out of comparison, let's pursue impact. And it brings in all of these other principles that we've been talking about. And if you're new to the podcast, let's go back in a couple of episodes and listen to some of these things, because think about the adaptability that Louis Engel brought to that equation. He decided to approach it completely different. He had a totally different thought process, looked at it from a different lens and said, how do we add value? How do we make impact in a way that no one else is doing? It wasn't comparison and slightly outperform them. It was, let's redefine high performance. He pushed past the barrier of fear. In a previous episode, I shared that our research showed that fear of failure is the number one barrier of high performance. Fear holds us back. And if you're listening to this, you're human. And guess what? Fear holds you back too. And so that mentality of impact over comparison, I think, is a high performer's mentality. I think that if we would approach our work, our life, our contribution, our relationships, maybe your marketing, maybe your sales, maybe the way you run your business, maybe the way you treat your employees, maybe the way you function on a team, maybe the way you show up in service of your neighborhood or community. What if it's about impact? What if it's about, what do these people really need? What if we could step out of our own lens for a second and come at it from a different angle and say, when they're sitting in this place, what's the problem they're really dealing with? What's the solution they're actually seeking? What's the value they need? How do we provide that? It's easy to get stuck in comparison, and it's easy to try and just incrementally grow. But what really, it's interesting. I think it's actually easier to revolutionize. I think it's easier to actually grow in a big way, because incremental growth is like, I'm just going to gut it out a little bit harder than the next guy. I'm just going to try a little bit better. I'm just going to try and fine tune my skill just a little bit more. And yeah, there's part of that is the process of high performance, but also there's a whole nother avenue, a whole nother approach where you can create a contribution and add impact that no one else is adding. That's what Louis Engel did. That's the challenge for this week, is let's show up with a mindset of impact over comparison and redefine what high performance looks like in your space. And I hope that makes you think. I hope that you leave this episode going, okay, I need to think, how do I apply that here? What does that look like for me? You see, I think sometimes we don't stop and ask tough questions. That's a tough question, right? What does impact over comparison look like in your world? I don't know the answer to that. I don't live in your world. But I'm going to think about it for my world this week. I'm going to think about it and go, how do I rewrite the game? How do I rewrite the way that I am showing up in lots of areas? I'm going to try and do that in my relationships, personal with my family, business relationships. I'm going to try and do that in the work contribution that I make, in the speaking, the writing, the podcasting, the things that I do. And I'm going to try and do that in my community, in the way that I show up. And I'm going to challenge you to do the same. This week, it's impact over comparison. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you being on. And again, if you want to help spread the word of this, share this with somebody else, have a conversation about it, subscribe, give us 5 stars, give a review. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon.